Mm-hmm. D, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Pastor Covington, thanks for getting on. Brendan Kell, 78, thanks for joining. DK, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, bet. Welcome to episode 77 of the Positive Impact Podcast, where we talk about all topics relevant to the game I love. I'm your host, Terrell Dozier, and tonight's guest, Utica's finest, in my opinion, the best basketball trainer upstate New York, Mr. Doneilous King.
Oh man, thank you for having me. What's good? What's good? Appreciate it.
Nah, no doubt, man. What's good with you?
Ain't nothing much. Another day, man. I'm happy. I'm alive. I'm well. I'm healthy. Family's doing good, and it's a blessing to be here.
Nah, no doubt about it. Love that you got the PIP T-shirt on representing. I love
Oh,
it.
you know what it is, man.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Way to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But I appreciate you. I appreciate you getting on, and we'll get into the respect and admiration I have for you and your work in a little bit. I will give you your flowers, but first of all, it's been a crazy year to say the least. Even though we're in 2021, still crazy. But talk about how you and your family been getting along during this pandemic and everything that's going on in our country right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a challenge and a blessing at the same time. I like to look at things from two perspectives: obstacles and opportunities. And so obviously the obstacles of being confined in a house, sharing a space with your loved ones. And, I don't care how much you love your family. You got to take a break and get away from them every now and then to appreciate them. And so, COVID has challenged us in that regard. Also, the fact that, myself and a few of our family members had the virus, caught a mild strain, and it didn't, luckily it didn't affect us too bad. So, came through that. And just the challenges of finding ways to be social, to be active, and to continue to maintain a sense of hope through all this madness. Those are the challenges. The opportunities, really spending more time with family. I'm a person that's always on the go, doing a bunch of different things. My normal 168 hours during the week, I'm doing my career as an educator, an adjunct professor, training, being a father, doing all type of different stuff. And so this has given me an opportunity to relax, to slow down, to be at home, to spend time with my family, sit on the couch, watch a television show, have a conversation, those things. And so really appreciating that. And also it's given me the opportunity to stand up to the plate, step up to the plate, and be the leader of my family that I should be, to be a sense of hope and inspiration during times of despair. And so it's been wonderful, challenging, but wonderful.
Beautifully said, beautifully said. I gotta send a shout out to my boy Elix though before we go any further on there. Yo, you owe me a bike ride, man. When it get warm out, I'm coming for you, Elix. All right? No doubt, no doubt. So let's go back to the genesis. Let's go back to the genesis and talk about Doneilous King and growing up and how you fell in love with the game of basketball that you continue to give a lot back to and obviously has given a lot to you.
Really, the game has been wonderful to me. I fell in love with the game about 5th grade. I was late. I was a late bloomer. I had a coach, my first coach ever, Anthony Lee, who is now the current coach of Utica Academy of Science Charter School. And he was a young coach, probably was 22 years old. And it was my first experience playing basketball. He came in with passion. He was happy to be there. He motivated us. He nurtured us. And I loved it. And I will attribute my love for the game, falling in love with the game, had a lot to do with my introduction to basketball from Anthony Lee. If he didn't have the passion, the energy, the care that he had, I'm not sure I would have developed that love and that fondness for the game. And after that, it was just a long journey of playing the game, being in a small market in Utica, New York, where not a lot of people play at a high level, Division I and beyond. But there were some legends that I was close to that I would watch coming up. Leroy Witherspoon, who played in the CBA, and who also had a little short run with the Washington Bullets. My cousin Devin Warmack, who played at Alabama State. And I was a young kid who come up watching those guys. And so I started to fall in love with the game. I was a pretty good basketball player at Proctor High School. And so I went on, I played at Sullivan County Community College. I tried to walk on at Siena College, and I tried to walk on at SUNY Albany. And so I always had that love. I was a good athlete, a good player, but I really didn't understand the game. And I lacked the skills necessary to be a lead guard. So I met a gentleman by the name of Keith Rose. And he's a friend. He's the father of my friend Marcus Rose, and I met him through J.J. Harvey. And he introduced me to skill development. So when I was at SUNY Albany, I tried out for their team, and I asked him to train me. We spent about 6 weeks working out 3 to 4 days a week. And what he showed me and taught me and poured into me in 6 weeks, it has stayed with me for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And although I never made that team at SUNY Albany, the last week of our training, or the second to last week of our training, I pulled my hamstring. So it's 2 weeks before the tryout. Will Brown's the coach, Jamar Wilson, Levi Levine, John Ayati, Lucius Jordan, they're all playing for the team that I'm going to try out for, And 2 weeks prior, I pulled my hamstring. And for those last 2 weeks, all I did was rest and get treatment on my hamstring. But we worked so hard and did so well for those 4 weeks, it gave me an opportunity. I did pretty decent in the trial, and I didn't make the team. And so I was very disheartened, and I ended up making the best out of the situation. I ran the Midnight Basketball League there, played in it, and we did some great things. So I was so thankful for what Keith Rose had did for me, introducing me to the game, teaching me how to train, how to work. I thought I knew how to work. I didn't. He showed me that. And so I asked him, how could I ever repay him? And he said, you know what? I don't want any money from you. He said, the only thing I want from you is when you come across a young person that possesses the same desire, the same work ethic, the same love for the game that you have, you do for them what I've done for you. and I've been doing it ever since. And that's really how I got started training. I'm obligated to do for others what Keith Rose did for me. I made a promise to him, and I've been doing it ever since. After that, I came home to Utica, started a pro-am program called King of Kings. So we had some of the best players from upstate New York and beyond for 15 years. But I also started a basketball academy. And my first client was a young lady, special young lady, dear to my heart. Her name is Brianna Kiesel, who played at Proctor High School. She went on to play at University of Pittsburgh, and she was drafted in the WNBA and had a short run there, played for Tulsa. And after I started to work with her, things started to take on, to really propel from there. And so that's a short, little quick, a little history of how I got started and fell in love with the game. And for many years, I struggled with why I was a good basketball player and why I wasn't great. And I would talk to God. And I would say, God, why do I have this yearning, this knowledge, this drive, this passion, this fire for this game? You know, I'm at SUNY Albany, majoring in biology, one of the toughest programs in the school. And instead of studying, I'm in the library doing research on basketball and James Naismith and how the game got started and learning about the angles. I'm doing research on the freaking game of basketball when I should be studying organic chemistry and kinesiology and things like that. But I was so drawn and attached, and I had this love affair for the game. And so I asked God, why do I have this connection with the game? If it wasn't meant for me to play Division I or to play pro, why do I have this? And then it really came to me after meeting up with Keith Rose is the passion, the love, the talent, the mind that I have for basketball. It was given to me so that I can share with others so that they can pursue their dreams and their goals and be the best person that they can be. And so that's where I'm at.
No question about it. No question about it. So shout out to Keith Rhodes for that and for giving you that opportunity and giving you that gift. And it most definitely is a gift. I'm gonna go back 2009, and I'm in a bagel shop. I'm in a Brugger's bagel shop on Madison Avenue, and I'm sitting down talking to Jim Hart. I just moved upstate New York, and I'm trying to, get into the basketball scene up there. And I said, hey, you know what? I want to get some kids in the gym. And he said, you know what? He says, I want you to see this guy, Doneilous King, up in Utica. He's doing the training up there and everything like that. I said, okay. And I never got up there. But then I had the opportunity to see you perform at Green Tech. I said, well, that's right. That's right here. I'm going to come down. I'm going to check this guy out. And it was something I've never seen before, right? And so, you can go to a lot of skill development sessions. What's going to separate? Everybody's kind of good at what they do, but what separates and what do you like? So the first thing that I noticed, right? And I said, am I at a basketball event or am I at a Bobby Brown concert? Because this guy is out here training with the microphone telemarketer joint while he's training so that everybody can hear him. It's a lot of people up in there. It's a lot of things going on. The other thing that I noticed was you weren't just barking out instructions. You was getting it in with them. So there's a respect for of showing kids how to do something and me showing you how I want it done, right? Because we could easily say it, right? We could easily say, now you got to move the ball, you got to move the ball. It's another thing to show them what it is, the results that you want. And number 3, I seen this little joker out there. He look like he all of 2 years old, and he moving the ball crazy. I'm like, who this little kid? It's your son. So I got so much out of the first time that I saw you actually put on a skills training. You know what I mean? Because I said, okay, number 1, he's showing how to do it, but then it's like I'm showing my own son how to do this too. Maybe he might do it later on or whatever. I'm showing him the value of We got to get up. We got to go drive down, and we got to put on a show. We got to put on a show, and that's kind of what it was. So I want you to talk to me and talk to my viewers about how you developed your philosophies of training, why you decided to do that, right? I just have a loud voice, so I don't need a microphone when I do my thing, but you had the whole setup of it. So talk about how you came up with your philosophies of training.
So in addition to my introduction to training and skill development with Keith Rhodes, I am a disciple, I would say, of Gannon Baker. Gannon Baker, to me, was a pioneer when it comes to training, making it a business, and venturing out further than his, locale. And he was on YouTube. He was selling DVDs, and I really, I was drawn to Gannon Baker. I would study his DVDs. I actually, in 2007, I think, I went down to Orlando. I had never been to Florida in my life, but I went down to train and study under him for a weekend. And it was about 50 skills development coaches from across the country, including Puerto Rico and Canada. And we all wanted to learn from Gannon Baker. And so a lot of what I've learned came from him, from the foundation of him, trying to put together simple teaching points to explain what I want. I believe to be an educator, you have to learn how to transfer knowledge. You have a vision in your mind, something that you see, information that you have. And then you have to find a way to get the people that you're talking to, you're educating, you're instructing, to get them to see, to have a mental picture of what you see. And how you transfer knowledge, it can make a world of a difference. And so his ability to put things in a book, to have a progression of starting slow, building on a foundation of skills, helped me. And then I really just became a student. Those who know me know that when I'm into something, I become a scientist. I become a researcher. I go back to the essence. I want to know where it started, who was the pioneers. I want to know the why. A good friend of mine, Franklin Davis, said the best way he put it was, to know why is to have power. And so it stayed with me. And so I wanted to learn the why. And so I took what Gannon Baker had and I built on it. And then eventually I started to put my own twist to get to where I'm at today. And so today, DKBA, Doneilous King Basketball Academy, what we do is we enhance the human condition through mental transformation and player development. That's what we do. We start with the mind. The mind is the builder, and then we progress from there, okay? And so that's how I got to where I got to. So merging what I've learned from Keith Rhodes, Gannon Baker, Kevin Eastman, a few others, but then starting to use my background as a basketball player, as a former track athlete, and then me being a former biology major.
Right.
So that's number one. So that really gives you a little foundation about the pedagogy or the curriculum, the methodology of what I teach. As far as having the microphone, which is something I still will use to this day, my mother gave me the idea. She came to watch me train, and I was in a place where it wasn't really like 4 walls. It was like 3 walls. There was a divider. It was open, and she could tell that my voice was getting hoarse. And she said, there's got to be a way that you can project your voice without losing your voice and damaging, your voice box. And so we started to brainstorm. I talked to my cousin, Nathan Blake, who is one of the greatest visionaries I've ever met in my life. And what he did was he said, man, there's got to be something you could do. He said, I've been places where guitar players, they plug into this thing and the sound is projecting. And so I just started to look and say, okay, I need a microphone and I need a portable PA system so that my voice can project and they can hear me equally wherever I'm at in the facility or the gymnasium. And that's really how I got to where you see me with the Janet Jackson, Bobby Brown microphone. And then the last part that you talked about as far as coming and having my son, I've been blessed to fall in love with a game that my son took a liking to. Ever since my son was a baby, his mom, Milagros Roman, said that the only thing that she could put on the television to keep him in the room without crawling out while she was doing dishes and cooking was these Larry Bird DVDs and Allen Iverson DVDs and things like that. He loved it. And when he was 11 months old, I would bring him to Brianna Kiesel's game. And as an 11-month-old, 1-year-old, he's watching these basketball games for 2 hours, sitting upright, and he was just in awe. So he's always really loved the game. And so I didn't have any babysitter, and I would bring him with me on Saturday mornings to train. And he started to play, and he started to love it. And then before you know it, he became, a mascot, an ambassador of our training program. And so when you seen him, he was the guy, he was the young man. But I also learned a lot about training from him because he was a baby. So I seen him take 1 dribble, and then a week or two, a few after, he was able to take 2 dribbles, and then he could turn 2 dribbles into 4 dribbles. And by 2 years old, my son was dribbling, probably 3 years old, he was dribbling with two balls at the same time with his head up. So because I seen him from a baby to now he's 14, I learned how to work with a person who could come to me for the first time and I could say, here's a basketball, which is what I did for the famous upstate baller, Teresa Higgins. The first time I gave her a ball, she kicked it. She thought it was a soccer ball. She thought it was an orange soccer ball. She was 4 years old. And I taught her, I said, here's a basketball and here's what you do with it. So I learned how to work with a baby of the game by watching my son.
Nah, no question about it. Shout out DJ on here right now. I know my wife gonna like that.
Oh yeah, she loves DJ.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I went to that event. We struck up a relationship from that and wound up doing a lot of good things together. I'm a lifelong learner, you know what I'm saying? And I'm also the person who can say, like, damn, that's different than the way that I do it. You know what I mean? And so I had to humble myself and say, okay, listen, like, I'm here to help these kids in the capital region. How can I best help these kids get to where they need to be? And in order to do so, I said, okay, I got to start bringing Doneilous in. I'm going to step back from training and I'm going to bring Doneilous in. So I'm going to use what I'm good at, and that's getting kids there. You know what I'm saying? That's getting kids there. And then I'm going to allow him to put on a show along with JJ Harvey, you know what I'm saying, who we've all, along with Troy Miller, formed the network. And I think what was good for the area was, number one, seeing Black men work together, you know what I'm saying, come together and no egos be involved, right? And do what's best for the kids, you know what I mean? And don't know if it's been duplicated yet on an ongoing basis, you know what I mean? So, I want to talk about, and I've been in different workouts with you, right? So like I don't want to dish you. 5'9"?
I'm about 5'10" and a half.
Okay, you're not, but okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that for the ratings. So 5'10" and a half, but we've had some big guys in the workouts, and you've had workouts from point guards to big guys too, you know what I mean? Which I liked your range of. I loved your range of training. So talk about that, how, because is a 5'10" and a half guy supposed to be teaching guys how to work in the post? Is a 6'5" post player like me supposed to be teaching guards how to dribble a basketball? So talk about your range of training as well.
It's that whole academic humility approach to where, I don't want to be a know-it-all. I want to be a learn-it-all, right? And so if I say I want to work with basketball players, well, I got to be able to work with a basketball player regardless of what size or shape they are, regardless of what position, right, they have. And so the challenge for me is not being 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", and never playing the post. How am I able to teach a person who I've never done that? Well, I have to become the consummate student. And again, when we go back to being an educator, being able to transfer knowledge, as long as I can create a picture for the person that I'm talking to, and then if I could demonstrate and show them, well, I can teach them. And before you teach somebody, you got to be able to reach them. And so when I work with a person, regardless of what position they're in, I make a connection so that they understand, whether they heard about me before I came before them, or the first 5 to 10 minutes that they're around me, they're gravitated towards me. They respect me. So whatever I'm trying to teach, they're going to be, focused on. So for the post players, well, it's basketball. Everybody is a post player in the paint. I don't care if you Muggsy Bogues or you Manute Bol. If you're in the paint, you're using pivots, you're a post player. And if you really study the game outside of the anomalies like Akeem Olajuwon or Kevin McHale and those guys, the people with the best footwork are guards. And so what I had to do was bring the footwork to the basket, put my back to the basket. And so I studied. It's the belief that you study to show thyself approved, right? And so I had to study. And again, learning from my son. So I tell people I work with players from kindergarten to pro. Kindergarten to pro, because it's skills, right? And so everything we see at the pro level, the European pros or the NBA, it's all based on fundamentals. We're just watching fundamentals at the highest level. So it's advanced fundamentals. But if we watch the game, I can break it down and show you how that ball handling move was predicated on the pound. So for example, the pound dribble, where you have a ball in your hand and you're dribbling it below your waist or below your knees, and the ball is leaving your hand, hitting the floor, and coming back up, right? We're teaching young people how to put the ball in their hand, to extend through the ball with a universal release, so their elbows fully extended, pushing the ball through the floor with extreme power and energy, and then using that recoil momentum coming from the floor back up to your hand. Well, once you learn that pound dribble, every dribbling, driving situation that exists in the game comes out of the pound dribble. So the architecture of the pound dribble provides all dribbling and driving situations. So once you know that type of stuff, you know that foundation, well, then you can build. So now if you get a player as a European pro and a middle school kid, well, we can do the same drills, but that pro's going to do it faster. They're not going to mess up as much. They're going to do it harder and things like that. And so once I understood that, I was able to work with anyone. And so for the last 10 years, I'm like, I can work with pros. I can train in front of NBA executive. It doesn't matter, because I know the game and I'm here to teach skill, right? And so when we talk about skill, we're talking about an acquired ability, a learned ability. Babies do not come out of the womb learning how to write with a pencil. We have to teach them how to hold the pencil, and then we write. So everybody that has been to school knows how to write with a pencil. Right. Some people write a little bit more with grace. They're a little bit more eloquent with it, right? Some people write holding their hand like it's a freaking, like it's a microphone, whatever, but they can still hold. That's a skill. Some people do it better than others, but nevertheless, they all can do it. So I can teach this skill to whoever. Doesn't matter how we work on it, how, and to what level. That's the skill. And once you learn that, you can work with anyone. And so that was my way, what I went through to learn how to work with a wide range of skill sets, but also ages, things like that.
No question about it. And then, one of the things that, we always did, and what I loved about you as well, was we always made sure that kids worked hard, but basketball is still supposed to be fun. You understand what I'm saying? So not only did they get to work, but they had fun. It was the atmosphere of working hard and loving to work hard, because it didn't feel like work. These kids knew that they were working, but damn, it was fun up in there working. And I want to talk about how you speak to kids when you're teaching. So I'm going to say something, and I want you to tell me what it is. when I say stand for justice, I don't stand for anything except for justice. So kids are in defensive stances, and I never heard nothing like that before. But it was just a play on words that lightened the mood in the room, right? Because it's not just grind, 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 but that's what it was, right? Listen, if you can do it, you can do it. If you can't, then you can't. A hero is a sandwich.
That's
you know
it.
what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? And so talk about that, like your play on words and how you make it fun for kids, and you know what I mean, so that they get the most out of it, but they come out of there feeling like, damn, was it really work? Or no, that hard work was actually fun.
Yeah, so a couple of things. Number one, if you're not having fun doing whatever you're doing, there's going to be a limit to how good you're going to be, to how efficient you're going to be, and how proficient you're going to be. But if you enjoy it and you're having fun, it's going to help you get through the tough times, the times when you're not getting it right, the times when your stomach hurts, the times when you don't feel like it, the times when you're tired. It's the challenges, right, that really test you. And if you enjoy it and you're having fun, it propels you, it carries you through. And so my challenge as a skills development, player development teacher is to try to get young people to enjoy some aspect of what we're doing. It doesn't matter if it's making the shot. It doesn't matter if it's winning the contest. It doesn't matter if it's being better than you were yesterday. It's my job to try to get you to have some sense of joy. Once you experience some sense of joy, oh, well, then the sky's the limit to what we can get out of it. And that's been the challenge for anyone that's working with young people. In this day and age, there's a million different distractions. And years ago when I came up, we had a respect for the coach and their legacy before we got there. And so what they said, we hung on to what they said. The newer generations, you got to show me, baby.
Yeah.
You gotta come with something different.
Right.
You gotta come. You can't just tell people. You gotta show them. You gotta tell them why. You gotta give them examples. And so, using that, I said, okay, well, how can I reach these young people? Well, once I reach them, well, now I can give them these old school lessons, these old school values. Mm-hmm. And then, as I started to develop my pedagogy, my individual unique style, I said, okay, well, what's going to separate me? Basketball has been around forever. We didn't invent the game if we weren't James Naismith. So what we're going to do is we're going to use what we learn and steal from each other and put a twist on it, right? All right. So then, okay, well, how can you separate yourself? What is going to be different? My mother's always motivated me. Dorothea King Simpson. She's always challenged me. She's always challenged me to stay ahead of the sigmoid curve. She's always asked me how I'm going to be different. And she's been challenging me since I was a young man. She said, well, how do you identify, set yourself apart? So what I had to think about is what makes me unique. What was unique for me is my skill set. I was a former athlete. I was majored in science, pretty good speaker. I said, well, what can I do? Well, we have an opportunity when we get in front of young people to make a lasting impact. And maybe we can wow them with something physical. But if I can get them to change the way they look at something, to think differently, to think critically, to think different about the way that they think, then it can stay with them. But not just to wow them or to get them excited. Well, when I work with a young person or anyone, I don't know if it's going to be for the one time or 100 times. But I challenge myself to give you something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. And I might only have 5 minutes to do that. So if I can give you a few words that will penetrate, right, your mind and stay with you, then you'll remember that. And so neuroscientists have found that when you give people too much information in a short amount of time, they're only going to remember 3 to 4 bits of information. So what I started to do was create teaching points, quotes, slogans, sound bites to get young people to remember what they should be doing skill-wise. And so the thing about the only time we stand up is for justice is the game is played from low to high. And whether we're playing defense or driving or starting to shoot, we're low. With our feet shoulder width apart, our back straight, still riding that back, our hips slightly above 90 degrees. And we can't come up. We have to play low to high. So when we're down, and I'm telling young people, hey, get down, and they start coming up because the lactic acid is building up in their legs and they don't have the muscle development, then I say, okay, instead of screaming at them or yelling at them, which is something I often do, I say, well, the only time you stand up is for justice. Now, that's something they never heard before, right? Standing up for justice, which is something I'm serious about, social justice, right? But I put it into a situation where we're talking about defense or we're talking about staying low, and now you'll remember that. You know, a hero's nothing but a sandwich with oil and vinegar on it, right?
Yeah.
Just trying to find ways to get people to think differently, you know, say some catchy things. J.J. Harvey has always said that I was really, really good with the skill development and the drills and stuff, but he thought that what made me special is what he called the gospel, my ability to use words to explain what I want you to do, how I want you to look at it. Nathan Blake will call me a wordsmith, you know, and I tell people this all the time. I think I'm pretty gifted with these words. When I was in high school, I got less than a 900 on my SAT composite score. I now work at a college where they use the SAT to get into college, and these students are coming in with 1200s and 1300s or 1400s, and I probably got an 890. Didn't study, didn't even take this stuff serious. I don't even know if I answered half of the questions, right? But when I heard all these people in my high school getting these scores back, I said, well, I know I'm smart. I know I'm not a dummy, but I got a dummy score. So then I said, you know what? I am going to have a command on the English language. I'm going to be able to tell you, right, how to dismiss yourself from my face 7 different ways, right? And that's the nice version, the edited version, right? And so I wanted to learn those things. But in my quest to learn how to have a command on the English language, I found different ways to communicate, different ways to put things together. And I was also, as a biology major at SUNY Albany, I was an English minor. And so I spent a lot of time learning about diction and syntax structure and phrases and stuff like that, imagery. And I use that to this day when I'm talking to young people.
Okay, nah, I mean, I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely love it, man. So
yeah, you love that stand up for justice.
I do. I love it.
I don't know if you ran out of the gym. I mean, you went nuts.
So I want to send a shout out real quick. I seen Saida was on here earlier down in Davidson, and I seen Selena get on here out of Marquette. Girls, I'm coming for y'all. If y'all still on here, I'm coming for y'all. I got to get both of y'all on here. We're proud of the both of you. Let's talk about where DKBA is going, right? So during this pandemic, we've had a lot of time to kind of reset, reboot, refocus, rebrand. You know, this podcast was born out of the pandemic. Talk about where DKBA is going, where you'd like to see it get to.
Yeah, and what we're doing is we're moving in a direction to where we are going to start working with more and more young people, having introductory classes. So whenever COVID does start to die down and we can get in front of people, we're going to start teaching younger people, you know, preschool all the way up to 12 years old, the intro to the game from a perspective, obviously, of basketball, but also from the mental perspective, which is something we've been working on. Continuing to work with high-level players on a more consistent basis, especially in their off-season time. Doing more things online to be more visible online. We'll have some merch coming through the pipeline. So we're working on those things, and hopefully in the near future, some type of a mobile app to where we can connect with people all over. We're working on a blog, maybe a monthly blog. We've been flirting with this Motion Mondays, start to motivate people on Mondays, putting things out, inspiring people to move, and then taking it from basketball to relating it to movement, to be able to reach people. right? If I'm working with people in basketball, well, if you don't play basketball, well, then they say, well, I don't really have a place here. But I want to inspire people to move. Motion is lotion is our thing right now. And whatever it means to you, it means to you. But what it means to me is, because I understand that your ligaments, the cartilage, the tendons, they get binded up, right? As you get older, and they just calcify. When you move, that movement lubricates those joints. And so physics, concept of physics, an object in motion stays in motion. So we just ran with this motion is lotion thing, and it's been fantastic for us, because not only are we going to be able to reach people in basketball, but we're going to reach all people. There's been some talks about doing some online classes with parents and kids, just getting them to move. We've done some pilot stuff during quarantine, doing stuff in the basement, dungeon workouts, moving to things like that. So there's some things in the pipeline. Obviously, with COVID, everything is really, at a standstill right now. But we're doing what we can to put some pieces in play, things in place, so that when COVID does subside, we're ready to move on those things. But we're very excited about this Motion is Lotion thing, Motion Mondays. So I'm on Facebook. And every Monday I'm putting stuff out, like what I've done on Monday to get started to move, and then other people will respond. So I do that on Facebook. So that's it, for right now.
Nah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So as we get ready to wrap this thing up, I want to ask some quick hitters.
Take your time. I'm in no rush.
Some quick hitters. So first one I want to ask you. You're having a dinner at your house. I want you to invite 5 people, dead or alive. Who would you have at that dinner as dinner guests? I'm going to give you 5 people.
5 people.
Mm-hmm.
The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother, Ella Mae King. Kobe Bryant. David Goggins.
Oh, yes.
David Goggins. And then my mom, Dorothea King.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice dinner right there. Nice dinner right there. Nice dinner right there. You're in the gym. You got 1 hour. 1 hour training session. Give me 5 players who you would love to spend an hour with. Any 5 players. Like, if I had these 5 players in the gym, the ultimate training session.
5 players. Trae Young.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry. Jokic.
Okay.
Devin Booker.
Okay.
And Jamal Murray.
Okay. I like that. I like that. So, Doneilous King coming to the park. Give me 4 players. I'm going to put you at the point. Surround yourself with 4 other players at the park and you don't lose.
Ooh-wee. Don't lose.
I'm putting you at the point.
He put me at the point. I don't even play the point. So I'm gonna have to get a point so I can shoot. So first I'm gonna get my man Isaiah Stewart so he can get them rebounds, big man. Right? Then I gotta go get my boy Mark Lyons, because Mark Lyons rugged and raw. That's my boy.
Cheeks.
Mark,
okay.
Cheeks. I'm gonna get my boy Josh Wright, man. Josh Wright was wicked when he was coming up. I'll get Josh Wright. So that's 3 of us, Isaiah. And then I'm gonna go with he said I'm gonna go with Anthony Lamb.
Okay. Okay. So you gave me 5 players of the ultimate at the ultimate training session. 3 baskets, 5 players, 3 baskets. You, and give me 2 other trainers that you would love to be there with you. If you could have any 2 other trainers to be there with you to work those 5 players out, who would they be?
Drew Hanlon.
And who would be the other one?
I'll probably go with Phil Handy.
94 feet of game.
94 feet of game.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love those answers. And so the last question that I always ask everybody is, when it's all said and done, how does Doneilous King want to be remembered?
The person that served others. I believe that every gift that we are given is given to us for the purpose of serving others. You know, what you do for yourself dies with you. What you do for others lives and remains immortal. And so I believe we have an obligation to serve our fellow brethren. That's just something that's been implanted in me since I was a kid by my grandmother, who's very spiritual. And so I want to give more than I take. I really believe that service is the key to making this world a better place. I think we have an obligation to leave this world better than we found it. And Martin Luther King said that anyone and everyone can be great because everyone can serve. So service is big for me, and I want to be known as a person who served others.
Nah, beautifully said. I think you're well on your way to doing that. Episode 77, man, and you know, we got you on here, man, and I'm so excited to have you on here, and I appreciate you getting on here and kicking it, man. Like I said, I told you before, the best, in my opinion, upstate that I ran into, and for a lot of different reasons. And so I like to align myself with the best. And you know, I learned a lot from you, you know, coming up, and I'm excited to see where you take this thing. You know, I love the motion is lotion thing, and whatever. And we're always in that learning mode, man. So please continue to keep doing what you're doing. It's working. And you know, and in my opinion, you haven't scratched your surface yet. Like, we still got work to do. So, you know, when this thing shut down, you already know what it is. We're gonna get together. We're gonna get together and do something really, really, really special that's never been done before. So, you know, let's get our rest and let's get ready.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's humbling and it's an honor to be on this with you, speaking in front of people. No matter how long I do this, who I work with, I'm always just thankful that somebody wants to hear from me, somebody wants to learn from me. I didn't know as a young person that people would consider me an expert at something and value what I had to say and my skill set. And so the fact that you're having me here, I'm humbled, I'm honored, and I'm motivated. So thank you so much.
Nah, no doubt, man. We'll be in touch. Appreciate you.